Hey, welcome into another episode of the Overcome University podcast. I'm your host, Michael Allison. Today's guest is Paul Gencarella. He is the founder and CEO of Mindset Mastery, an expert speaker, coach, and also a self-image advisor. Welcome to the show, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Michael. Love the intro.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much for being here to share with our audience a little bit about your expertise, some of the things that you got going on, and some of the challenges that you've been through yourself, man. So
Yeah,
if you don't mind, let's get started, man.
sure, absolutely. Let's go at it.
So, I was looking at what is it that it takes for someone to become a mindset master in regards to like that concept, because we all struggle with so many mental issues, mental challenges, and so many different types of hurdles. So if you can tell us a little bit about what is it even that led you to this particular point to even get into the mindset mastery, and what even inspired you to become a coach as well too.
Yeah, long story short, I got here because I was fired from my insurance career of 25 years, but that's, maybe a deeper story and
Uh-huh.
some insights to that. Was in the insurance industry right out of college, and I was going to purchase the agency, but, my boss wanted more than I was willing to pay, and we went down another road of merging with another entity. And I was involved in personal growth and development at that time,
Right.
Michael. I just wasn't engaged in it.
Mhm.
And I just knew it on the surface, the great quotes or the sayings, the Jim Rohn, the Tony Robbins, the
Right,
Bob
right.
Proctors of the world. And I really didn't really embrace it fully until, like I said, I got fired from the carrier that bought us out, and that led me down a path of some ups and downs. But truly, mindset, as you alluded to, becoming a mindset master. You're never a master at anything, are you? You know what I mean? Like a karate person, or judo, or martial arts, or fitness, or instruments. You're always looking to get better. But
Exactly.
when you can master the negativity
Mm.
and create opportunities and leading you to better choices, that's when you start to really master things. It's like success. You never really get success. You attract it almost by becoming the person that you are, according to Jim Rohn. And that's
Right.
kind of what mastery is we attract it by studying ourselves, a self-discovery. And that's what I fell into, and what I study every day for about an hour, which is great.
Absolutely, man. I agree with you. I think when it comes to mastery and things like that, it's always going to be an evolving thing that you're trying to do and trying to accomplish. The biggest thing I love what you said is what I'm all about myself too, is learning how to deal with challenges and obstacles and things like that, and face those things head on, opposed to
Yeah.
running away from them. With that being said, man, can you talk a little bit about some of like your own personal experiences? I know from reading a little bit about yourself that you had a cancer diagnosis, you had a son with an illness, and
Yeah.
that kind of like took you down a path in regards to like your own personal journey, your own self discovery, and your own personal growth, man.
Yeah, no, for sure. And my family, my wife and I have three children, two boys and a girl. And our middle child, when he was 5, this was in 2009, he was getting ready for the first day of kindergarten, all excited on the back porch, playing backwards on a chair, banging it back and forth. My wife was tending to the 3-year-old, the other one was already at school.
Uh-huh.
And he fell off the 3 steps of the porch and smashed his head
Oh,
onto the
geez.
concrete patio. And he had a cut on his eye. So my wife took him to the doctor, who was all concerned about his vision, this, that, and it all checked out fine. The
Uh-huh.
doctor said, listen, there's no issues with his vision. The cuts are going to heal. It's no, and sent him to school. So he went to kindergarten that day. But 2 days later, Michael, he woke up and said there was blood in his urine. And we're
Mm.
like, whoa, well, this is something odd. I said, that must have been from his fall. He must have had some type of a bruise. Well, it turns out that we went to the hospital, they did the testing, and they sent us up to the city children's hospital. Now, I didn't think anything of that because he was very squirmy, very, emotional about getting shots and blood drawn. I thought that's just where we were going. And
Hmm.
when we got to the hospital, they did the CAT scan, and they said to me, I remember clear as day, in the emergency room, they showed me the viewing of the CAT scan. He said, this is his healthy kidney, and then this is the kidney with the mass. I said,
Mm.
I said, oh, wow, that's a big difference. I said, all right, can he play soccer tomorrow? And they said, let's go in the other room. So at that point, seemed a little fishy to me. My wife was, didn't know a thing until we walked in the room. There was comfortable furniture. There was Kleenex boxes. I said, things don't. I said, we're getting some bad news here. She's like, what are you talking about? I said, I'm telling you, I think something's really wrong with JP. She's like, you're crazy. Well, sure enough, the doctor came in and said that our son has a stage 1 Wilms tumor, but it looks as though we have caught it in the early stages. And thanks be to God, we did. So it's a matter of thanks be to God he fell to bring us to this point, because it would have been in 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years. It could have spread to his lung or been a lot worse. So subconsciously, my wife and I took that news and only looked for the better. And when we treated JP, we did not hide the word cancer from him. We did not hide the word surgery. He didn't want to deal with any of it, but we just kind of tough loved it through it all. So when people would come in to visit him and things, we would say, yeah, he's got cancer. He's got a stage 1 seminoma. He's got to go through, 37 weeks of chemo, which we all took in stride. And it wasn't an easy task at all, but it was a simple process in the fact that we're just going to focus in on the positive.
Wow.
Breakdown moments. Did we get ticked off? Sure. But a month later, I'm watching college football, just confused as to how this all happened. And my wife's working at a second job at a restaurant. Kids are asleep. And, I start checking myself, and lo and behold, I found something on my right testicle. Well, sure enough, it was a cancerous seminoma that my doctor said that, yeah, it's going to need to be surgically removed. I think you got a good find there. And I said, what do you mean by a good find? He's like, yeah, it's cancer. I said, holy cow. So at that point, I just embraced the thought of my son. And when I just focused in on him, he almost became, wow, Dad's got cancer too. This isn't so bad type thing. And we'll go through this together. He didn't really say that at 5 years old, but that's kind of what we did is, granted, I only had 2 doses of chemo. He had 37, but we went through it. I don't want to say joyfully, but we found the joy and the laughter in our shortcomings. And sometimes that's what you need to do. You need to do like, okay, this is what we're dealt with right now. Here we go, And it's funny because my wife went to the dermatologist and saw something under her toenail and says, we got to get this tested. And he did. And during the 5 days of the biopsy test, he said to her beforehand, he's like, that's how Bob Marley died. They found a melanoma under his toenail. She's like, oh, great, thanks. Turns out she didn't have cancer, thank God. But, it was one of those things that we said, what else can happen type thing. But we didn't really focus on what was wrong, but how we could make things better. And that's truly all we did. And I think you need to do that for a 5-year-old child, right? You're forced to do that. When it happens to us, that's when things are a little bit different. And that's when I went through my mental history, my mental illness that I was diagnosed with in 2018. That was a different bit of a story, So that's kind of where we were with the cancer, so to speak.
Wow, man. So for you and your son to go through this simultaneously, and you're dealing with all of these hurdles and challenges, you're true testaments of adversities and facing those types of things. Can you talk a little bit about those experiences and how it has set you up in regards to like your profession now, in regards to like working with people, in regards to like facing challenges, facing adversities, in regards to like getting through some of those hurdles, man?
Yeah, no, for sure, Michael. That's a great question and a great segue because, I'm a speaker now and a coach in the self-improvement industry. You know what I mean? The personal growth and development, self-help, whatever you want to call it, how to help yourself become better. And it's more mindset than it is behavior. It truly is. And it was a matter of not so much doing it, but studying it, understanding how it works, and then enacting it. You know what I mean? You can read about how to ride a bike, but you're better off in actually writing it to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of how we all need to work here with our mindsets, is to understand our limitations, know what our tastes are, what our dislikes are, and to work with those, and to be able to shift that paradigm that's set in our subconscious mind, because we all have them, and they produce our habitual behavior.
Definitely.
And if you really want to change your lifestyle, don't change your behavior, you change your mindset. And that's the thing you need to come to understand, and how to do that. You know, an emotion has a lot to do with it, but you must keep your emotion in check, meaning your intellect needs to control your emotion. You can't allow the outside circumstances of the world to dictate how you're going to think, feel, and act, whether it be a death, an illness, a disability, a broken relationship, whatever it may be. You can't let that setback dictate how you're going to act and feel. Sounds easier said than done, naturally, but once you understand the dynamics in that, you can put your energies and your focus on really what you truly want. Because when you focus on the negativity and all the doldrums, you're just going to get more of that back. It's called the universal law of cause and effect. Whatever you put out comes back, whether it's in thought, word, or action. It's going to come back to you in some form. You know, if you spew out hate to someone, that same hatred is going to come back to you in some form. It is. Right. It's like the law of gravity. It's going to happen, you know. So once I learned that universal law, there's about 11 of them. I study 7 of them regularly. Once you learn that, Michael, you have a better understanding how to overcome adversity and how to deal with adversity and how to become better. You know, you're going to have slip-ups all the time, but once you're aware, it makes it that much easier. You know what I mean? It's not being aware of doing the wrong that's really throws you for a loop, you know? So that's kind of the deal.
So you know, from what you're saying, oftentimes I find that what stems from a lot of those things is people find themselves with limiting beliefs, and they attach it to some of those things that you just talk about. Can you share from your experience, what are some of the most common things that are holding people back? And then from like your experience in working with some of your clients, what are some of the ways that you work with clients to help them overcome some of these challenges? Especially share with our audience that's listening to it as well. What are some ways that they could overcome some of their limiting beliefs, man?
Yeah, the best thing for your audience to understand is that there's really 2 things. There's our genetics. That's how we are, the color of our skin, the shape we are for the most part. And, you know, all of those particular things are genetics, but also our environment. You know, our surroundings. And I've had people say to me, listen, I got terrible surroundings. I got this. I said, yes, but what is the surroundings in your mind that you're creating right now? So when we create a good environment in our mind, that enables us to get what we need to get. And the first thing I tell people, I said, it's a mundane task, but every day, get a notebook, get a journal, and write 10 things that you're grateful for that day, whether it's having an electric toothbrush, indoor plumbing, a cup of coffee, you know, whatever it may be. It couldn't be that simple, but be emotional about it. Get really something that truly that you're thankful for. And when you start doing that every day and you start putting this into your arsenal, when you get down and disgusted or upset or frustrated, you can use this to carry you up, because the best time to treat depression is when you're not depressed. When you're depressed or angry or frustrated, it's much more difficult to get out of that. And this kind of gives you a leg up not to get so deep. So having those gratitude exercises there and helping you to focus on what you're truly grateful for, you know, makes things easier. And again, my son, who was the 5-year-old, he's 20 years old now, he's in Spain studying abroad, having the time of your life, you would think. He's struggling. He's struggling right now because he's having a tough time with the course load, the language, the students, to meet students, and he's focusing all down the negative aspect of things. I had to tell him this morning, listen, you're not in a concentration camp. don't get so overworked. You know what I mean? Sometimes we create all this stress in ourselves that then there's no need for that. There really is not. But again, try to tell someone, especially a 20-year-old, when he's going through those things. You know what I mean? So I have to pick and choose how I craft my message as well.
Mm-hmm.
And how are we crafting our message to ourselves? Oh, you're not an entrepreneur. You're not going to be able to do that. You're not going to have a podcast. You can't speak in front of people. You're not going to be able to be a coach. You know what I mean? You have all these subconscious negative things. You need to shift that paradigm that we've created.
Definitely. I like that you had said this previously, but I agree with you. Like in regards to what we project is actually what it is, right? So if you start, I love the fact where you're saying like write down all of these gratitudes and things like that and start manifesting those things into your life. In addition to that, the last thing you pointed out was it's crazy, but most of us, when we're having some of these limiting beliefs, we're the ones that's selling ourselves all of this thought, all of this information. And guess who's the buyer? We're the ones that's buying the same information, man. So you're so spot on with that.
Great
man.
point. Yeah,
absolutely.
No, for sure, Michael.
I wanted to touch on something for people that's listening also as well. They struggle in regards to, I know that people struggle with in regards to like accomplishing goals and things that they're trying to achieve in life. And it seems like they have a goal and it just seems like it's so far to reach, so far to catch. What are some of the advice and tips when you're working with clients in regards to like achieving goals or you're just trying to accomplish something in their lives? People struggle. We see people struggle with either like finances. They struggle with weight loss. They struggle with so many different things. And always, why is this eluding me? Can you talk a little bit about achieving your goals?
Yeah, I'd be happy to, Michael. And when it comes to achieving a goal, the whole point of having a goal is not to achieve it, but to grow from it. That's the key aspect of it. And if you understand that the point of making this goal is for growth, and when you make a goal, it's for something that you truly desire, that's the key. Now, when you make a goal that's outlandish and not realistic, I used to think that was wrong. No, that's what you're supposed to do, and you're supposed to get emotional about that, but you're not supposed to figure out how am I going to do that. You focus more on why do you want to accomplish that? Why do you want to make $100,000 a month? Why? What's $1.2 million going to do for you? You know, and what are some of the things? Well, geez, I'll be able to travel with the family. I'll be able to go on this vacation that I always wanted to go on. I'd be able to get the second house in Philadelphia or whatever it may be. That is going to draw emotion. And you just have to know where you are and where you're going, Michael. Those are the only two things you need to know. But the problem with emotion is you need to be more emotional up here than you are where you are. So my point is your emotions get your results. So when you're emotional about where you're going, you're going to get there as opposed to being emotional about where you are, because you'll just be more where you are and you'll get more of the same. When you focus on debt, you'll get more debt. When you focus on prosperity, you'll get prosperity, you know? It's that simple.
How does changing the way you think lead to permanent life changing rather than the altering your behavior and things like that? Because let's say people are dealing with some of these challenges and they may have a little bit of success, right? How do they maintain that and sustain that and keep that going? Because what you'll find is, right, people will be having a little bit of success, and as soon as they get a bump in the road, they revert back. So how can someone maintain and sustain?
Yeah, and to use an example that we kind of alluded to before was, you have a person that's overweight. They lose 50 pounds. In 6 months, they're kind of back at it again. Mm-hmm. And that's primarily because they've changed their behavior and not their mindset. And if you can kind of figuratively look at it like a thermostat on the wall, it's set at, say 68 degrees. And if it's cold outside, you open the door, the temperature is going to drop down, but the heat will kick on. So it's going to fight to be at that 68 degrees. Just like a kid in school, he gets 3 A's and 2 B's and then goes back down to all C's again. So in other words, the set point needs to be put in the mindset, not just so much the behavior. So in order to do that, you need to think differently. And it was very difficult for me at first because I just was so caught up in the how and so caught up in the disbelief. And my mentor said, listen, you don't have to believe it. Just believe that I believe it. Have faith in me. Do you believe in me? I said, yeah, I certainly believe in you. And that's what's critical also about going through these things is having a mentor. Person that loses the weight, it's great to have that personal trainer to guide them and to dictate how they're going to be going through these things and what to do and where to go when say the contest is over or whatever have you, and when the grades are done and it's summertime, what do we do in the next quarter when the fall comes around? In those particular things, it's a mindset shift, whether it's a student, a person that's looking for a better career, better relationships, a better finances. It's all rooted in your thinking. If you want to change your life, you just need to change your thinking, but you need to know what to do. And I've been blessed through mentors of mine to give me the I guess the resources, if you will. And not every single resource I used. Not everyone's going to like the same reason. It's like lifting weights. Not everybody's going to like the certain exercises.
Right.
You'll find out what works for you. You know what I mean? And that's what I've done. As you can tell, I'm kind of a high energy guy. So meditating for me is kind of hard because to decompose and to compress, and so I struggle with that, So for me, a victory is 3 minutes of meditation. I know people that do it 3 hours a day.
So let's follow up on this before we get ready to wrap up, man. So you're working with clients and they're coming to you and they're bringing some of their challenges to you. Can you share with our audience what are maybe one or two success stories in regards to someone that has brought to you whatever challenges that you want to share, minus the person's real name or whatever, unless you want to do that? And so we could hear some of like your success stories to know that, if some of these people that he's working with has been facing some challenges and they have overcame some of these things, I know that I could actually get through some things. I've shared quite a few of my stories on this podcast in regards to some of the things that I've been through in my life as a kid, to even like the Marine Corps, the military, my divorce, and so many other things and stuff like that. And it was through people like you, in regards to like a coach and a mentor and accountability partner, and some different types of groups that I've been a part of to help me change my life and change in regards to like what I'm doing now. So if you could share with us, man, some of the success of some people's lives that you've changed, man.
Yeah, no, for sure. And one of the things that I say to most everybody that I deal with is attitude. Attitude will alter your direction in life. But as far as examples, I mentioned to one guy, my friend Steven, he's become a friend. I said, you can change your annual income into your monthly income. And he said, you're so crazy. I thought, he was going to end the Zoom right then. I said, I'm telling you, it can happen. You have to understand it's something you have to want, though. So he's like, listen, I'm making around $100,000 a year. You're saying I can make $100,000 a month? I said, if that's what you want, but you have to know why you want it as to so much how you're going to accomplish it. So he really just buckled down, focused in on the programming, went into the module training, and just absorbed it, and just repetition, through the military. You guys repeat a lot of stuff.
We do.
Teams, you guys repeat a lot of exercises. That's what drills. You drill it into your mind. That's what you're doing. And what he's been able to do is he's at right now, this is after probably a year and 3 months, he is at $600,000 a year. He's not quite at $1 million yet, but he's still going. Now he took the lid off it. He's like, this is phenomenal. I said, you're not there yet, though. I said, we got to be at 100,000 a month. You're at 50 a month, 50,000. So that was one thing. And then the other thing was relationships. Just from a general standpoint, I've helped out so many people when it came to relationships, whether it was their kids or their spouse or significant other, is, people say a relationship's 50-50. It's not. It's 100% zero. You're responsible for 100% to give 100%. It's not give and take. You give as much as you possibly can. And someone will say, well, that's what I've been doing for 30 years. It hasn't worked. I said, listen, you have to make the good out of it yourself.
Right.
You have to find the good in your spouse that you saw in your spouse. And when you start doing things like that, and you start doing little different things, whether it's washing the dishes or helping them this or that, and looking out for them instead of looking out for ourselves and being selfish, we find that when we change, things around us change.
Yes. Yes.
And it's the same universal law, or same universal law, just a different one, that will bring that to you. You know, you'll start manifesting and attracting that once you give it your all and your 100%, and you're looking out for someone else. The more people you help, the more it helps us. It truly does. You know, and I've told people that are struggling with confidence or self-esteem, I've told them, from what I've learned in reading books, go help someone that's struggling with their self-esteem or their confidence. That will help you. And it's true.
It's true.
You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing. It'll make you a better overall person, especially when you try on the better attitude. We can all better our attitude, no matter how good it is. And those particular things not only will help your audience, but it will change their lives for the better. It truly will. You know, no question.
Absolutely. So as we get ready to wrap up here, man, from your life experiences, all of the things that you've been through personally, and you working with different clients, what is the most important lessons? If you have 1, 2, 3, or 4, what are some of the most important lessons that you've learned while you've been on your journey to mindset mastery? And then what can our audience take away from your life experiences and stories?
Yeah. Okay. So, you know, some of the things that I will share with you. One was gratitude exercises. Definitely. I never used to be a note taker and a journaler. I do it now religiously. 10 things every day I'm grateful for. My goal I'm writing every single day. And then, you know, I'm studying, taking notes on certain things as well. So the gratitude exercises were one. The second thing is bookending your days. You know what I mean? Get a great morning routine, and also get a great nighttime routine, a bedtime routine. You know, we all have alarm clocks for the most part that wake us up. I have an alarm clock that doesn't wake me up because I get up, but I have an alarm clock that gets me to go to bed. It says, okay, it's 8:30. You're going to be in bed in 30 minutes. So I start reading inspirational material, good material that I'm absorbing, or meditation, or something that's literature that you can read. The Bible is good for those that are believers. But the other thing is just the calmness of it. Mm-hmm. So when you have a better quality sleep, it's better than having 9 hours of okay sleep. You know what I mean? If you're only getting 6 hours a night, I'm not trying to tell you to get 8. What I'm trying to tell you is get a better 6. You can do that, right? If you're doing the same, you know what I mean? It's just getting better quality out of it. So that's really what I got out of that. And in the morning routine, doing things that aren't work related, like checking email and getting all the news fluxed into our mind. I've given up the news. You know what I mean? I read the newspaper every day, the local newspaper, for like obituaries and little tickets, trinkets and things along those lines, but I don't let it consume me. You know what I mean? Because once you do that, you know, I had clients that were reading 3, 4 newspapers a day. You know, and they're just consuming that all from an entertainment standpoint. But that's the type of negativity that's drawing in you. So those are the things. So then you know, what can your audience do to help benefit them? Do one thing, just one. You know what I mean? There's tons of tactics. I got a text line. You can text me. I can share some tactics with you, but just try one. And then just do that. And then, you know, next thing you know, you try it on and you figure out how it works. And that's where you go from there. You know, it's a good gateway, not a gateway drug, but it's a good gateway to take you to this better material. Because the point is, Michael, we want to be happy, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? That's the key, is happiness and fulfillment. You know, fulfillment with no happiness is failure. You know what I mean? That's Tony Robbins says, and it's so true. You know, so that's the key, is we want our ultimate happiness. And what's that going to be?
Leading to a purposeful life, man.
Mm-hmm.
Paul, before we get out of here, man, how can our audience work with you, become a client of yours, learn about everything that you got going on, and just reach out to you?
Yeah, I offer free discovery calls with people just because to get an idea of where they are, where they're going,
Mhm.
and to reach out to me, my email address or my text line or any one of my social media profiles, and I can share that with you. You can put it on the show notes, and people
Yep,
can find that, and they can go from there. But it's that simple.
absolutely. Well, Paul, man, it's been a pleasure to have you on as a guest, man. Thank you so much, brother.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate it.
Until next time, guys, God bless.
Ain't at all. Couple dollars in my pocket, no income and go. Been working on my body, getting